Okay, I might get started. I'm conscious of everyone's schedules and it's that time of year where everything's busy. So welcome. My name's Margot Smith. I'm the CEO of RSL and Services Clubs Association, and welcome to our webinar on skills shortage. Also joining me, we have Jenny White, Director of WhiteNow. Welcome, Jenny.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
And Toni Panuccio from the HR Manager at Ingleburn RSL, Bowling Club and Tabatinga. It's always one I want to make sure I get right, that pronunciation. Welcome, Toni.
Hi. Thanks, Margot. Hi, everyone.
So we'll pretty much launch into it. We've allocated about 45 minutes, but up to an hour. I've got some pre-prepared questions for the panel, but please do also pop any questions you've got in the chat box, and I'll keep an eye on that. We wanted to bring this webinar to you because we're obviously seeing a bit of a squeeze, bit of a skills shortage. And so Jenny's obviously recruiting people every day and seeing what's happening in that landscape, and Toni is on the ground in RSL and bowling clubs and obviously Tabatinga. So I wanted to give a bit of a varied perspective. And further to that, we also had a Women's Leadership Forum on Monday that we held, and we got some points coming out of that as well. So we might have some themes that we'll thread through from that. But without further ado, we'll jump in. And I know, Jenny, you mentioned to me previously a SEEK report that shares some hard numbers in terms of job seekers and employers and the changing rates. What are the statistics telling us with regards to this supposed skill shortage?
Yeah, I think, well, thanks, Margot. I've got some slides with some stats on it and some information that I'll share if that's okay. Just let me know, Margot, whether you can see that. Yep. Okay. If I look at this particular image from SEEK, they sent me through this, which is just released. The two things to look at here are in the purple where it says 50%, national job ads year on year. So the job ads have gone up 50%. Year on year. So that's an average year on year, which is great for SEEK. However, if we pop down to the bottom number there that says applications per job ad year on 2 years, down 51.8%, which is terrible. So I've got some more specifics if you don't mind me indulging you in another slide. I'll read these out a little bit because they're quite detailed, but this is specifically the hospitality industry and how ads are going with that. So we're going off SEEK and not off WhiteNow because SEEK, you know, has a big, broad audience. Sure. So if we look at job ad growth over the past 12 months, 119.7% in hospitality. So which is way above the across all industries. And then just look at this, kitchen and sandwich hands, job ad growth, 212% growth. Like, that's ridiculous. Wait staff, 163%, bar and beverage staff, 127%. This is rise in job ads. Not that we can get anyone to fill these, but this is what it looks like. Gaming, 99%, chefs and cooks. I would think that would be a lot higher myself, but 93% higher, management 77% higher. So, you know, they're reasonably alarming stats. So, and I just looked at today's SEEK vacancies in a couple of areas. So I just used the word club and found that there was 5,763 jobs just with the word club in it today. And then across all hospitality and tourism, so all of those things that we saw before, kitchen hands, bar, etc., 20,133 jobs. So all of our clubs are competing against 20,000 other jobs, and certainly not 20,000 people to be able to fill those. So yeah, I don't know if that helps you.
Mind-blowing. And I think, I mean, Toni and I had a chat earlier. I think some of those roles are, you know, the pool is a lot larger from who could do it, but some of those skilled roles like chefs and everything, it's such a limited pool. So I mean, yeah, the stats don't lie. It's pretty mind-blowing what's actually happening out there, and compared to last year, but and also couple that, I guess, with this concept of the Great Resignation. So we're getting people in the door, but we've actually got to hold on to them too, but we can talk about that later. Yeah. So what are you actually saying, Jenny, in terms of the volume and quality of applicants compared to a year ago?
Yeah, quality is a touchy subject for me, because there, it depends on what each individual club is looking for as such. But I've got just talk about what's happening with WhiteNow to start with. We've got 120 ads at any one time averaging now, and usually not in COVID time, we've got about 70. So an extra 50 positions at any one time, and difficult to fill many of them. And I'm just going to pull out from outside the industry a couple of stats as yesterday. Some of the big players, these are the vacancies, 280 vacancies just at the Star. Dalton House, I'm sure you know Dalton House, they've got multiple event venues, a couple in clubs as well, 150 staff just for that. So now I just want to go through how applications have changed in the past few years. So I'm just looking at an inner West Sydney club. They've got about maybe 30,000 members, a modern club, and they've been looking for bar and gaming attendants. On the 18th of April 2018, they advertised 267 applicants, and they booked 14 for interview, and they all showed up, and they employed 7 people. Happy days, happy days. 28th of January 2021, they got 309 applicants. So beginning of this year, when COVID was looking okay, 309, 6 out of 12 booked for interviews showed up, and 4 employed. It was okay then, but we can see that people are starting to not show up to interview. Then just a recent ad, the same thing, 92 applications. So this same club, exactly the same ad, everything, 92 applicants, 2 out of the 14 booked for interview showed up. And
who's not showing up for an interview? I just find that really strange.
Oh, just all the time. I'm sure everybody that's listening to this webinar, either live or the recorded, will put their hand up and say 100%. that people just don't show for interview at base level. And I'm even having it at management level now, duty management and above, no shows to interview. And I'm like, how does this happen?
Oh, yes, Marty said it absolutely happens all the time in the chat box.
Yeah. Now, people in our Facebook club managers group have seen this post before, but this particular club got this as an application, the attachment down the bottom. I'm only applying for job seeker requirements and I study full time. Please ignore the application and sorry for wasting your time. How honest of them to do that, and how lovely. So they're applying, but just so that they can say, here's my email I sent regarding this application. And when I posted that to get feedback in the club managers group, many people said, yes, we have the same thing. People just saying, oh, don't worry about this. I'm just doing it for Centrelink requirements.
Wow.
So I think that's a dramatic change from 14 coming to interview and 7 employed to 2 coming to interview and 1 employed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just the number of applications.
Yeah.
This is some changes in applications and numbers for regional for a club in, I've just taken a sample, a Northern New South Wales club that has 160 gaming machines, 7,000 members. They were looking for a CEO, and they were looking for a CEO in July 2019, 62 applications, September 21, 13 applications.
Because I know you said that to me, you're seeing Metro, it's pretty thin on the ground from an applicant's point of view at entry level, and then regional senior staff, you're really seeing the pinch. That's
exactly right. It seems like there's no movement regionally. That if you're up the eastern seaboard, north, it's a lot better than if you go in, into outback areas, etc. that becomes really difficult. I've just got one more here. Okay, so this is a city, change in applications in the city, a city club in, sorry, that shouldn't say Northern New South Wales, serves me right for rushing through these. It's a city club with 300 machines and 30,000 members. They advertised in 2018 and got 96 applications. They advertised again recently, 85. So not much difference. So there's big movement and good applications and good applicants for city CEO jobs paying 250,000 and above. Okay.
Wow.
Not good in regional, no matter what they pay. If you're going into the, more outbacky areas, Northern New South Wales are getting a little bit more. So there are, changes with that. So I'll leave it there. Yeah.
Thanks, Jenny. And Toni, what are you seeing as a HR professional in clubs? What are you seeing about the volume and quality of candidates coming through for roles?
Well, look, firstly, those stats were quite interesting, I must say, and absolutely mind-blowing, although certainly not surprising. From, I guess, what we're seeing in terms of the quality and the quantity, we're quite fortunate to a certain degree because we are receiving applications on a regular basis, which is great, right? You think, fantastic, they're coming through. When it comes to the quality, though, that is something that we need to really have an open mind, because the quality may not be there where we would like it to be. So it's really about exploring and leaving no stone unturned, because we really need to look at, are we able to bring in someone that may be a little bit older? Are we able to revisit what our availability needs to look like? Should we still have that form that says, what, we really need you to be available pretty much 7 days a week, almost 24 hours a day? I don't think we have the luxury to be in that position anymore. And we need to really kind of have a look at, well, what can we do to attract more people and have that more agile and flexible environment, so then we are attracting more people and we're retaining them, and certainly retaining our existing staff, because it is a little bit of a revolving door at the moment, given where we're at with the existing team members that we may have. You might have a lot of uni students that are working with you, that may be coming towards the end of their studies, that may want to look and explore going into their field of study. So we really need to be prepared for that. And, interestingly, when in chatting with the rest of the colleagues within the club network, there's certainly a consensus there that front of house staff, absolute shortage. Middle management staff, absolute shortage. Certainly, a couple of other clubs have experienced even some of those more professional roles. Marketing and IT, there seems to be a shortage of that too. We haven't experienced that ourselves, fortunately, but what there has been some feedback around is that they're finding that a lot of chef roles and kitchen hand roles, there's not so much the shortage there. And that could quite possibly be as a result of some of the restaurants not reopening post the reopening of, some of the businesses after we've come out of lockdown. But it's definitely interesting, and it's certainly something that we need to kind of think a little bit outside the square in terms of what we've been doing may not necessarily work today. So it's how do we then look at what can we do differently so then it works for us, and what we may do may not necessarily work for another venue, and vice versa.
Yeah, it's interesting. I guess it's that thinking about if they're uni students, and you and I had this conversation, and let's say they're studying finance, let them know that, okay, if they want to move on, absolutely great, but we'll always be here. So if you want to come back to us and work in the finance team, then please do. And seeing it as a career in RSL and services clubs, and that's something that we launched a campaign about a month ago, and advocating for people seeing that and getting that awareness out there in the community about, there aren't just the jobs that you think there are. There might be maintenance workers and gym roles and all of those sorts of things, finance, marketing, all of those sorts of things. So really getting on the front foot that as a purpose-led industry, we give back to veteran services and community services. And that's a hot button for a lot of young people, but certainly most people post-COVID are reevaluating what they do and what they contribute to society. So I think we can certainly capitalise on that. And I mean, I know you, Toni, said to me before that you have conversations with people if they're, say, leaving to go to university. Could they do a few hours a week, you know, instead of completely giving it away, and you know, thinking about some of those things. But yeah, I think we need to have a bit of an open mind about you know, whether or not it's opening up or closing down the deal breakers in terms of availability and being available 24/7. Another suggestion, you know, we've got a HR intern working with us, you know, job sharing, thinking about is there the ability, whether or not it's back of house or whatever, to open up a little bit more to job sharing. So
absolutely, and that whole exit interview process is so fundamental to that, because you're gaining, as well as even if they're there, like running those surveys, just gaining people's feedback that work with you, that are there, and they provide you with that really, really valuable feedback around how we can improve and how we can retain the existing staff. And absolutely, where you've got your high performing team members that may be leaving to embark on their, you know, studied profession, always leave that door open. Always let them know that, you know, if you've got the opportunity to work the odd shift here and there, we would welcome you back with open arms. So we've had that conversation. And in some instances, it's been great. They have gone, yep, absolutely, thanks so much. And in others, it's just been it may be challenging for them because their career and their path may be, you know, a fair distance away from here. So that being able to just have that conversation to explore that in great detail with them is an essential part of, I guess, having that exit process completed in a way that, you know, you've left that person so engaged that they want to come back and they don't want to completely leave an environment and a culture that's been so abundant for them. So that's really important.
Or refer someone else.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we've got a comment or a question from Bernie Brown. So if no one is turning up for interviews and job seeker payments are significantly reduced, is the sector at capacity with qualified staff, or are people leaving the sector, or both? So, you know, I guess, are we doing the best? Have we hit the capacity, or yeah, are they leaving the sector? Any thoughts on that?
Look, I think given what we've gone through as an industry, it may be that the level of stability isn't there for some people. And hence they may be looking to explore a different avenue. Like, for instance, I seriously doubt that Coles or Woolies would have any issues recruiting people to work in their warehouses. You know, so I think as an industry, we really need to ensure that we never go into lockdown again. So therefore, what do we need to look at as an organisation, as an industry, to secure that future for our businesses and our staff and our communities? And then look at, you know, really getting that strong message out there to let them know we're back and we're back for good. And the certainty and stability is certainly here. I don't know, Jenny, what do you think?
Yeah, and thanks, Bernie, for the question as well. I actually think we're at capacity of who is currently interested in our industry, because if they're currently interested in our industry, they're working already. So what we've got to do is change what we're doing, do it differently to what we've done it before, including advertising, including the way we do business. People don't want to work in our industry for a range of reasons. We've got to address those reasons, change them, and then the capacity, you know, we won't be at max because we'll attract more people. But at the moment, like, you know, how many times can we advertise for a bar attendant for a club and not get anyone? Like, it's not, if we keep doing the same thing, we're going to get the same result. So what can we do differently? I'll talk about that a little bit later as well. But in answer to Bernie, yes, I think we've hit a ceiling for a range of different vocations in clubs.
And another comment or question Bernie posted was, is job seeker still an incentive not to work? I think we're
So
out on that. Yeah, go.
I'll jump in on that one as well. Unlike me, I'm so shy. Job seeker, anything where you're getting paid not to do anything at the moment, because that's what people have been used to for the last 2 years, is going to work. Yes, so I think 100% it's an incentive. You know, like we've all been trained in a certain lifestyle over the past 2 years. So why do we want to go back to the old lifestyle when we're getting paid to do the lifestyle we've been used to in the last couple of years? Unless clubs come up with something totally different, unique, new, exciting to attract people back to work. So yes, again, Bernie. I'll just keep saying yes to Bernie.
There were a couple of other questions. If leaving the sector, where are they going? And I mean, Toni, you hypothesised about maybe some warehouse work and everything. Have we had any feedback about where people are going?
Yep, I have. People are, there's a lot of retiring happening, early retiring at the moment. So those that had planned to work for another 5 years have brought their retirement early. So they're actually leaving to, you know, have their own lives. And that's a really interesting change, which means a lot of, you know, senior management positions are on the horizon or have come up already, that we didn't think would come up at this stage. So that's it. And a lot of people are doing whatever it takes that is Monday to Friday or 4 days a week in the day. So yeah. Bunnings, retail, a lot of government stuff, that is compliance stuff, all of this, yeah, there's a range of different, so, okay.
Thanks. Toni, anything to add, or we should go?
I guess from the way that I see it in terms of resignations that we've had, has been around people pursuing their studied career path. And I guess when you look at it, it could be a coincidence. It could be that the stars are aligning where you've got people that may have started 4 or 5 years ago that are looking to then pursue their career. I can certainly speak from our one particular brand in particular, you know, Tabatinga, for instance. When they first started with us a few years ago when it opened, they were a lot younger, and now they're a lot old. They're 18, 19, and one particular team member went, oh, you know, it's a bit difficult when you meet your boyfriend's family and they say, what do you do for, you know, for a crust, or I host children's parties. So it's that perception of perhaps, well, they've outgrown that role and they want to pursue their particular careers. So it could be a combination of reasons why. We've certainly, I noticed that we had in the comment there, the Great Resignation. There's certainly that to take into consideration, and the impact that it may have on us. Will it have the same impact on us? We're still yet to see that. Whilst we are seeing some resignations come through at the moment, we really won't know what that is going to look like. But the best thing we can really do is try to look at some strategies and really look at changing some of the things that we do, like Jenny mentioned. And certainly I'm sure a lot of the clubs are doing this as we speak. You know, how do we implement some of the strategies to change the way that we're currently recruiting, so then we're attracting more and more people into our industry?
Well, maybe we touch on some of those now, and then we'll go back to some of the other questions. So I know that on Monday at the Women's Leadership Forum, someone suggested that their club or a workplace they'd had in the past had a referral program. And so when someone they referred passed their probation, that they got either some kind of financial payment, but the person also suggested maybe some club points or something like that. So, you know, ways to attract staff that way. The intern that was working with us suggested, because they're from a HR background, instead of pay rises at the end of 12 months, maybe do pay rises at 6-month intervals to kind of, you know, that you get the pay rise anyway, you'll just get half in 6 months and half in 12 months to keep staff engaged and warm. She also suggested maybe casuals who don't normally have access to, you know, regular benefits, maybe offer them 1 day off a month, and so that there's not that sense that it's forever. You could say, okay, 2022, we're going to give casuals 1 day off a month, and that way it's a finite period of time. We can trial it and see how it goes. And then, yeah, I mean, any other ways that you can see to either attract staff or engage with existing staff, so we're not seeing that either great resignation or the great retirement.
I've got some slides on it that I've prepared for you.
To head only, because we
some ideas, if that's okay, of things we can do differently. Is that what you're after, Margot?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Can you see that? Hold on. Sorry.
Yes.
Okay. So I think I'm just going to throw a whole lot of stuff out there that you could think is ridiculous. It may not work for you, or sometimes you might think, oh, actually why don't I try that? So some can seem ridiculous. I've just thrown a whole lot of stuff out of my head down, and see if any of it can work for you. So on the left there, I've put, think about why people do not want to work in the industry and try and change the things they hate. They hate long hours, so do shorter hours. They hate 5 days a week. Can you do 4 or 3 days a week? They hate 8-hour shifts. Can you do get more people to do 3 or 4 hour shifts, such as older people might be interested in doing that. So instead of filling one person across 40 hours, you could fill 8 people doing the same work.
Yeah.
They hate low wages, give them higher wages. They hate working every weekend, give them some weekends off. But we can give them all that. But and people are doing that sort of stuff. But what I'm not saying is that it's being communicated to people that don't know that. So that your future employees aren't seeing this. Your current employees might know that that's going on, but how is it being communicated to the other people that you want to employ, and where are those people you employ? And I've got some ideas of how to reach them as well, if that's okay, Margot.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, think about why people don't want to work. The mobile phone dilemma. People hate being without their phones. Like, I know that, I guess old school was, or traditional thinking was, don't have your phone at work. Your phone must stay in your locker. Now, I would die. I would literally die without having my mobile phone attached to me. And that's just the way I operate. And I'm continually either chatting to a friend or chatting to a colleague or posting something on social. And I'm still working. And I can tell you that my work is very efficient and I manage both things. So I'm wondering, now this is people may hate me for saying this, but if this is why people hate working, and another reason why people hate working in clubs, can you actually let them have their mobile phones while they're at work? But to do that, you would need to put the policies in place of what they're going to use it for. Yes, they can text their friends or, inbox or whatever, but the customers comes first, but they can still do it in off periods. They'll still be efficient. They'll still get the job done because they'll know what the job is. Can we say, yes, absolutely, we'd love you to have your phones at work, and please post on your social media platforms, the cocktail you just made, or the food you just plated up, or whatever it might be. Again, you've got to put the policies and guidelines around that. But can you use your current people as influencers for your business to attract more people in? Toni, you're smirking. I'm worried that you think this is ridiculous. You can see the nightmare that's going to come with it. That's what I know. Yeah. However, we've got to change. And think about mobile phones 5 years ago to now. 5 years ago, if you had your mobile phone at dinner and looked at it, you were the rudest person in the world. Now you're not. So I'm just wondering if this could be done. Again, I'm throwing stuff out there, whether it sticks or not.
But I think you're right, Jenny, and you're obviously engaging at the cold face of people applying, and you see, this industry versus other industries, and getting a sense of what the deal breakers might be, particularly for the young people who, you say you would die without your phone, but some of these kids, would probably actually get high levels of anxiety without their kids, or without their phones, sorry.
Or their kids.
So yeah. So, you know, maybe these are some of the areas that, you know, we think it's about one thing like wages or whatever, or hours, but actually this might be the deal breaker we don't know about.
And these guys, like, if again, that word influencer is really somebody that has a lot of followers and can soft sell something to those followers. So if you've got your people soft selling your business and what a good time they're having and how cool that schnitzel looks or whatever it might be, what you don't want them to do is obviously snap pictures of a bad schnitzel or whatever it may be. So the control gets lost a bit, but if you put the guidelines in place, maybe set up teams. So every day for half an hour, a team gets together and does a group posting on TikTok or Instagram Reels or Stories or Snapchat, because that's where people are at the moment. They're not particularly on Facebook unless they're older. Your members are on Facebook, your staff aren't. They're on, you know, at that level, are on TikTok, Insta, Reels and Snapchat. Maybe give teams extra paid time to gather pics for posting on social and encourage their phone usage and do lives while they're at work. So, you know, I think many people will think this is a bit ridiculous. However, I think it's a great opportunity.
I do too.
With people. People like to work at places that offer great social life as well. So you need to be getting your people, well, firstly, you need to be giving them a great social life at work as well, because people want to have fun. But then again, sharing those sort of photos. So I'm really taking the social media angle here to get the word out, to get people into your business to work there, because it's fun and they can use their mobile phones and they get a bit of extra money and they only have to work 3 days a week, all of that package. But you've got to communicate it, and the way you communicate it to the people that you might want perhaps are on these social media platforms.
I agree. Completely.
So my thoughts are to use your current people as influencers for your business. Set the guidelines, manage it, embrace it, which I think will be the hardest thing for this industry. Embrace it. We're not used to it. Reward it. Thank them from all their mobile phone usage and learn from it. So that's just, you know, I guess some of my thoughts. And are you right if I keep going on some other thoughts?
Yeah, sure.
Another reason why people don't want to be in hospitality is they're not around their mates. So how can we get them to be around their mates? Perhaps host a recruitment party with champagne. Okay, Toni, you're going to die on that one as well, with champagne and a red carpet entry. Maybe we'll drop the champagne, and get your people that are already in the business to tell their friends we're having a recruitment party. Roll out the red carpet, you know, make it special. Or have a bring a friend to work day. Incentivize your current team for introducing a new employee to the business, pay their mobile phone bill, or even better, give them a new iPhone 13 as a thank you. And I think you mentioned before, Margot, that it was mentioned at your Women's Leadership Forum about incentivizing someone for introducing them to the business. But is it money that they want? Who knows?
Yeah.
Find out what they want. Another thought of attracting people, and I guess this is in response to Bernie Brown's question about are we attracting the people, you know, are we at a limit? Yeah, I think we are. So where else can we find people? Now, I've got a 15-year-old son. All his mates work at McDonald's and they all want to work at the same McDonald's, so that they could be on shift with their friends. And I don't know what the rate at McDonald's is, but we can, the club industry can pay much higher for juniors in the kitchen or whatever it might be. So why are we letting them work at McDonald's when we could be using them for junior roles that are not alcohol and gaming in our clubs? And we can package this up as a concept. We can talk about it on mums Facebook groups and sell the concept. So we've got position for five kids at the age of 17 that all want to work at, you know, $22 an hour or whatever is more than McDonald's. And then build relationships with the school and say, our club has 6 positions going this year for this, paying this, 6 hours a week or whatever it might be. And send the message, this is about friends working together, make it a new thing. So I don't know, Toni, what do you think about that? Is that a bit ridiculous?
No, not really. And look, you know, I think some of that we're trying to get that happening at the moment. So there's a lot of things that you've actually said, Jenny, that have not been completely ridiculous, but
they're out there.
But they're out there. They're certainly out there, and you know yeah. However, with what you've actually touched on, there's quite a few things that I could say that we're quite aligned with, and we're quite in sync. For instance, I don't know if you can go back to a couple of, I think the slide before, where no, not that one. There was another one. Yeah, well, sorry, if you go back
to the red carpet one, because you do your meet and greet, Toni.
Yeah, well, we do our meet and greet, but also the one where you're suggesting, you know, flexibility around the hours that we're offering and what have you. There is an element of, there we go, that's it. So, for instance, what we're looking at is opportunities to really kind of go, okay, well, perhaps what our team needs is to have longer hours and shorter weeks, so at least they're only working 4 days a week or whatever it may be, and going out there and doing more of that, as well as the shorter shifts. For instance, if we're wanting to attract some of the older and more mature people that may be looking to come into the market, or may have decided that they wanted to retire early but have changed their mind, they want to come back, and being able to offer that flexibility to them. So, and every alternate weekend. And in our space, I would say that is something that would be quite attractive. So certainly that the mobile phone element, quite different. It was something that would need a lot of exploring, and I know you're smiling there, Jenny, and I know you know that you know what that would mean for us to do something like that. It would be certainly out there, and it would be certainly something that would need to be done very carefully, because you'd need to make sure that your social media policy is super tight, that your mobile phone use policy is super tight. And what have you. And I think if you're going to be giving the rights almost to staff to promote something from a marketing space, there could be some criteria that they would need to know about. So it's quite a significant thing to explore. Very good, but
and some training, maybe, you know, maybe the marketing person in the club, or if it's not a club that actually has a dedicated marketing person, you know, another club that does some knowledge sharing and does some training for the staff. But I guess if you think about, you know, an office worker is able to use, you know, Jenny gave herself as an example, their phone without any restrictions. I think, you know, there needs to be a certain amount of trust there with mobile phone usage, period, just having it on them, let alone kind of posting and all of those sorts of things. And I think if we're competing for talent, which we essentially are, we need to think about what that means, and that we need to trust our employees.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's about guidelines and setting the rules around it. I mean, your staff can post anything they want about the club if they're not there, or if they've left, or whatever it might be. Yes, you might have guidelines around that, but I would prefer them posting great stuff, and not narky, bitchy stuff about something that's happened there. That's my thoughts anyway.
And also might challenge their friends' perceptions of clubs too. Like if there is a cool cocktail or a barn or something like that, you know, it might then it'll be that groundswell of perception of clubs to their friends, and then if they want to be around their friends, like Jenny says, their friends might come in for a drink while they're working. That's what I used to do with my friends who were working at the time, and then, you know, we'd chuff off somewhere else afterwards.
Yeah,
as in late, as it closed and got later and later.
Yeah. Anyway, they're just thoughts. I know we've got to change as an industry, because we keep doing the same ads, we keep doing the same thing, and we're not getting any different. So what's got to change? We've got to change. We can't change, you know, employees at the moment, because they're not coming to us. So what can we do that's different? So just the other thought, another thought was use your members and your membership database. Basically, if you're a club with 10,000 members, you've got 10,000 people who may know somebody that wants to work at their favourite venue that they've been a member for 25 years. You know, or are there members, mature members that want to work 3 hours a week in the kitchen or whatever it may be? Use that database, use them as recruiters, you know. Don't stop using me, just use them as well. Right?
I've seen some clubs doing that well, sending emails to members or posting on social media. Yeah.
Now we've got another challenge going on. This was in the Brisbane Times yesterday, December the 1st. Record number of apprentices begin training, but fewer are completing it. State and federal governments are under pressure to boost low apprenticeship completion rates in the face of a skills shortage and an expected infrastructure boom. Data from the National Centre for Vocational Education Research shows just 55.1% of apprentices across a range of trades who started their training in 2016 had completed it by July this year. That's terrible. So we can still attract apprentices, but we've got to communicate it, maybe address why they don't want to work. Like, no apprentices want to work for the apprenticeship wage and the split shifts in the kitchen and all of this sort of stuff. Why not, you know, communicate that you're known as the employer who pays full wage for your apprentices? Then build your kitchen staff that way, from apprentice down, by paying more than anyone else is. So
are we seeing, I'm guessing in general, we're seeing wages come up because there is a skill
not for
shortage.
apprentices, not for apprentices. For chefs,
yeah,
anyone from cook up to chef, some are getting double what they used to get. So you might have had a head chef on 70 grand who's now on 160 grand at a similar venue, but they're in a market that they're competing ridiculously. That's going to come crashing down, I think, when our overseas chefs come back in. So chefs I follow a couple of Facebook groups that are just chefs, and the chefs are like, they're posting on there, what are you getting through that agency? Oh, I'm getting $70 an hour. What are you getting? Okay, I'll ask for $70 an hour now. But, you know, many clubs are doing 4-day weeks for the chefs. They're doing every second Saturday night off. And I'm not saying 4 10s, I'm saying 4 7s or 4 8s. So giving a full-time wage for not a full-time hours to get the chefs going there. They're giving accommodation, they're giving cars, they're giving so many different rewards to get chefs. I think that chef thing will come crashing down. But if you can build, back to that apprentice thing, if you can build your own team from scratch now and, you know, keep them, that could be an option too. But whatever you do, communicate this to the outside world, not just to the people who already know. So, you know, a lot of clubs are doing a lot of great things and all their people know they're doing the great things, but they're not getting the word out to their new employees who they don't know who they are yet. And that's the challenge, is communicating the great stuff that you're going to do to new employees that you don't know who they are or where they are.
So doing it on job ads and doing it on social media.
And job ads have got to change, and we're encouraging everyone that's sending us ads to first and foremost talk about what's in it for the employee, not you're required to do this, you must have this, everything that you want out of them, forget it. Like it's a bartender and a manager. This is what we're going to give you to come to us. And it's not cash. It's like the work culture. It's the parking spot. It's the meal on shift. It's the childcare. It's all of those things.
And the team, like you say, you're building a culture. A dynamic team who loves coming to work.
Yeah. It's really it's so important. I know we spoke about that earlier too, Margot, and catching up with Glenn beforehand. It's really harnessing and nurturing the existing culture that you have, if you've got a great culture, for instance. And I know here across all of our brands we have got a fabulous culture, and it's important that you're bringing in those and you're attracting those team members that have got that mindset of, I want to go to work. And it's attracting people that have got that want to work mindset versus I have to go to work. And how do you then nurture that? How do you then tap into their needs and the with them, what's in it for me? It's making sure that you've got a very robust L&D, like your learning and development strategy. You need to make sure that you've got some great, talent matrix and succession plans in place, and you do the performance reviews as part of an annual or even monthly review with your team members. And the other thing that's really important is going out and speaking to them and finding out from them, like, what is it that's important to them? Like, how do we make sure that we're going to keep them there and retain them? Otherwise, if we don't go out and talk to the people that are there performing the role day in, day out, and they're at the cold face, how are you going to know that what you're doing in your mind, you think you're doing everything right, but it may not be meaningful? So the best way to add value is to go and work out, speak to your people. What's valuable to them? What's meaningful to them? And how can you bring that to life? So you are harnessing and you are building on the existing culture that you have. That is so important. And it'd be remiss of anyone that thinks that they have got the answers to everything without doing their due diligence and going out there and simply consulting with their staff. And it's amazing how your team will open up to you when they're given that opportunity to. It is, and it's a beautiful thing because they know that their voices will be heard, and that's so key. And you can do that through a survey. You can do that even just by leaving a feedback form downstairs in your staff rooms or upstairs, wherever your staff rooms may be, and getting them to give you some feedback. And then the most important thing, if you do that, is going back to them and letting them know, thank you for your feedback. We've taken it all into consideration, and in response, we can do X, Y, and Z, or in response, the reason why we can't do this is because of that. So you're not just leaving them hanging. That's really important, and that all forms part of that, your employee value proposition, whereby it builds a massive part of attracting people. So then you get the skills that you want to get in, and everything is so intertwined. It's amazing, but it's so important to take that step and engage your staff. I'll zip it now. So
no, that's okay.
No, they're great points, all of them.
The other thing is, you've got a number of businesses there, and you talk about a training matrix and, different learning and development outcomes and everything. Not all clubs will have those resources or will have mapped out things like that. And in its simplest level, I talked about the other day as well, a leadership ladder. What does it look like in your club? Do you come in at one role and you talk to your team about what a career in that club looks like, to make sure you are retaining them and cross-skilling them when you've got the time and the capacity, and really, like you say, Toni, having those conversations and showing that employee that you're invested in them. Another thing on Monday that Patsy Edwards mentioned from Gosford RSL was they were talking about a bursary through the club. And so for staff, I was about to say younger staff, but that's irrelevant, for staff, maybe paying for some education for them. And so clubs might want to think about, if you've got any staff, younger, mature, whatever, are there other things they want to upskill at that they can, while they're working, do on the side? But yeah, different ways that we can retain and engage and develop our staff, and just think about what's, like you say, what's meaningful for them, what's going to really hook them in and keep them for longer periods of time.
Yeah, just work out what's that fire in their belly look like, and can we tap into that so then it's something that we can then gain some sort of a return on that investment. So there is a method to the madness. It's just how can you make the most out of it? So it's really important, and it's amazing what you learn about people. And it might be that you may not be able to support their education in a certain way, but if there's something that does fall in line with how we can then look at what their succession path looks like, then why not? I mean, why wouldn't you? really, because it's going to add a benefit back to your brands and your business at the end of the day. And hopefully you'll do everything you can to give them the reason not to leave, that they'll want to stay with you, that they'll want to learn and grow and be the best version of themselves in your brands. And if they happen to go, I'd want to really make sure that that exit interview is super robust to understand why do they want to leave after you've invested in them and you've really supported them. Why do they want to go? And understand that, so then you can make sure that, you know, you give them an opportunity to change their mind, or better understand, you know, why it is that they are looking to leave.
I think it's such a well-known fact that to keep people, you ask them what they want, you ask them what drives them, you ask them what would it take to keep them, and you do that. However, we all know that's a great method, but we've got to actually do it. That's what I think a lot of us are missing at the moment is concentrating on that first and foremost, and just putting it into action. And I know you do it well, Toni, from what the big boss says.
We'll try. We'll try. I can't mention the big boss. I'm going to get in trouble if I do.
No, and I said I would, so.
Yeah, okay, well, that's all right then.
And look, I mean, I guess there's been a bit of talk around, you know, languishing is the feeling of 2021. We're coming into the end of the year. Staff are probably feeling it. And so we need to recognise that, you know, we talk about getting people into the industry, but, you know, also our existing staff are probably tired. Like, none of us have had a real holiday for a couple of years. So really recognising that and thanking them for their service and you know, just being grateful that they're sticking with us.
That's so true. You know, one of the things that we decided to do on return from lockdown was ordinarily the clubs have had their Christmas parties and what have you, and we decided that there just wouldn't be enough time. It's too close to Christmas. So what we've done is we've gone, you know what, we're going to do a staff appreciation day, and we're holding that in January. We're going to do a bit of a hurrah around them, and it is going to be about recognising their contribution. And I think whilst we do it informally, we don't do it formally. And I don't think that I would be alone in saying that. I think as an industry, we need to get great at it. So what does great look like? Again, going out and just asking them, what does that mean to you? So, you know, it's so important to do that. And that recognition is really important. That could be through looking at an existing recognition and reward program. You know, that's something that I know that we certainly need to be looking at that. And even some of my peers and my colleagues that I've spoken with, they'd have to be along the same path for that. But no, you're absolutely right in that regard.
Can I just add to there about the HR managers in our clubs? The forgotten ones at the moment, to thank them and reward them. I know of 3 HR managers that are leaving the industry right now at senior level. They're just tired. They've had enough. They just needed a different industry. Now we're losing the people that got us through the last two. No, the CEO, everybody got us through, but the HR managers, they had the pressure on their shoulders, and we've got to recognise them somehow. So that's just a shout out to everyone that's not a HR manager, to recognise your whoever was looking after your people through that time.
Jenny, yeah, good point.
Thanks, Jenny.
Thank you, Toni. I think part of my aim in taking on this role is to ensure that we're seen as an industry that is an employer of choice. And so we're developing some frameworks at RSL and Services Clubs Association that we want to share some of that best practice, but also you guys share with us what you're doing, because I think if we get or continue and maintain this reputation as employers of choice, then collectively we elevate our attraction of solid employers. So certainly that's something I'm focused on and that I'm working on, but we'll share any learnings we get. And likewise, I'd love for all of the clubs to share any learnings that they get about, you know, what's working, what's resonating with employees, what kind of perks, for lack of a better word, or, you know, benefits are staff looking for. And it's not always going to be the ones that we think it is. It might be an extra volunteer day a year where they're paid to either volunteer as a group or volunteer for a charity that they're passionate about. And, you know, so let's take the example of using phones and posting things. Maybe it's a little bit of social media training. Like, we're just, asking teams, as you say, Toni, what they value. And some of it we're not going to be able to deliver on, and that's just setting expectations, but really thinking about things a little bit differently.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, I have one last question. We have 4 minutes. Jenny, do you think these staff shortages will have a long-term effect on our industry?
Yes, I do. 100%. Good and bad, though. Staff shortages now means that nobody's coming into the industry, and therefore there's no one to develop up.
Mm-hmm.
And we've already got a problem in that CEOs are not moving in the past. Now they're starting to move. So we've got a little bit of a window where operations managers can move up, therefore duty managers can move up to that. So there's a bit of movement there, which was caused by the challenges of COVID with people leaving or moving on. So there's gaps, which is great, so people can move a bit. But once that settles in again, where we've got that same dilemma of, if there's no movement in the top few tiers, then there's nowhere for anyone to come in to move to. So, you know, there's so many long-term effects of what's going on. And also not so much the skill shortage, but the perception that the industry isn't one that you want to work in because of masks or closing down all the time, or whatever the perception is, which has resulted in the skill shortage, will be a long-term effect on people's perception of our industry, and that's a concern for me.
Okay, so I guess we need to make it an engaging and welcoming environment, and be proactive in communicating that, as you're saying. So you're saying, let's not just do it and let our people know we're doing it. Let's share it, whether or not it's in job ads or social media,
everywhere,
or our networks, you know.
Tattoo it on your forehead. Best industry ever.
Totally. And I'm trying to do my bit, and I think, let's collectively communicate that, you know, we are a great industry. We're purpose-led, giving back to communities and veteran services. We develop our staff, we skill them across the board. We're open to having conversations about flexible working, because actually that's the only way out of this. And I know, Jenny, you've talked about mature workers. I know some clubs have been doing that, you know, job sharing, you know, considering shifts that are shorter but more people, you know, and also, Toni, you guys have been working on meet and greets and ways of welcoming new people in. So I think it's an ongoing conversation. Let's keep talking, but thank you to both of you for today. I think let's see what we can do to elevate the industry and be the employers of choice that we know we are.
And keep positive. It's the best industry ever.
Yes.
It is. It is. Having not been in this industry in the whole of my almost 30 years in HR, by far the best industry. I don't know why I never explored it earlier. But yeah, love it. Think it's great.
We've got you for life. We've got you for life. This is good.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Absolutely. There's so much potential for everyone involved, really, and it's a great space. It really is. Yeah. There's that level of authenticity about it, and it's the patrons, the environment, the people. It's great. It's really good.
And thanks to the RSL and Services Clubs Association as well for being proactive in this space.
Yeah.
We need all the associations to come on board and really help with this shortage. And thank you again, Margot, and your board and Brad and the team for being so proactive.
Thanks, Jenny. We're here to do everything we can. So thank you both for today, and we'll wrap it up there.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Okay. Bye. Thanks everyone for joining today's webinar. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday.
Thanks, Margot.